Hi, I'm Rohrich. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon in Dallas, Texas. Welcome to Rohrich Knose podcast. As you know, the goal of this podcast and our YouTube channel is to help you be a better you, a more informed and educated you. And that's what it's all about. We are here to separate truth from fiction, myth from reality, and what we're talking about is from plastic surgery and medicine and beyond. So today, I'm very excited and honored to have with me one of my patients, Andrea, who is 30 days after her facelift. And often when I talk to my patients about facial rejuvenation, I tell them about it, but they say, well, how do you know? You haven't had a facelift. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to get a patient that actually is articulate, that can tell you about what it's like to have a facelift. So, Andrea, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I feel good.
Great. I can't believe you did 30 days, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. It's amazing. So tell me, and she's okay with me. She said, I always know when I turned 50, I wanted to get a facelift, right? So tell me about that. Tell me.
So my mother got a facelift. So about the age of 27, I started getting Botox. Shortly after that, my grandmother died. My grandmother's biggest regret was that she didn't get a facelift.
Really?
She smoked about 4 packs of Salem's a day. She had quite a few wrinkles. Really beautiful woman, but she never, had the courage to get a facelift. So
from Texas?
No, from Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mother decided that she wanted to get a facelift. So I remember the whole process of her. She went, I think, to California to get it done, and I realized at that point that I could probably get a facelift one day too. And she kind of had a little bit of a rough recovery, but she was, she looked great, and she's aged. She's only ever gotten one, and she never did Botox or anything, and so she looks older, but she looks appropriate and good. But I, at that point, started doing the Botox. I continued until like in my 30s, I started doing filler. And at some point, I looked at my photos, and I did not look what I thought I should look like. I looked kind of weird.
Wow.
And I said, it's really time. The other thing is I was spending so much money I was spending $2,500 or so every 3 months just to maintain. And so I knew that I needed to probably make a change because this was not working anymore.
Right. And Andrea, what you said is so true, because people at some point in time, first of all, do you really think she's 50? I mean, you don't look 30.
Thanks to you.
No, I mean, good genes. You look amazing before, and I'm gonna actually show her photos in a minute. But I just want to amplify one of the things you said was that, at a point in time when you can no longer see the results and you're getting jowls and you keep filling and it doesn't look good, and also then it starts looking abnormal. Now, when you came to see me, you weren't looking like some patients I see that just had too much filler, because you were smart and you said, listen, I'm done with it. It's time to move on to the next thing. So one of the key things, when you start getting jowls or you start feeling like the filling is not working, because then you go from filling to lifting and filling, because Botox is good and so are fillers, but at a point you kind of fish or cut bait, you got to do it. So, and you can see, so when Andrea came to see me, she's a beautiful woman, so she had some normal signs of early jowling and some central facial fat loss, and she'd lost some facial fat in her cheeks, and of course you can see that on her side view as well, where she had lost her beautiful contour of her neck, and so she said, listen, it's time to go. And now you're 30, and then of course we always do computer imaging, and I don't know if you'll have to comment if whether they helped you understand what was going to be coming. Did you like doing the computer imaging?
I did. It was very helpful, and I don't think that I look exactly like the computer imaging.
I think you look better.
I do too, but it was very helpful, and it also showed me that it was going to be sort of subtle, which I didn't want to look done. My big fear was looking like I was.
Exactly, and that's what computer imaging is. I mean, none of us are God. This gives you an idea of what's possible. We did her upper and lower eyelids, her face and neck, and we did facial fat augmentation, and then a small chin augmentation, and you can see on her that it looks amazing. And then here she is. Actually, this was 2 years, a week ago, and you can see she looks quite amazing already. She's got a beautiful jawline, shaping and contouring, and we lifted and filled. And this is really at your last visit, 2 weeks post-op. So you look even better now. So I think the take-home message here is that it gives you an idea of what's possible, and you really want to restore what you've lost with aging. And it's like you said with your mom and stuff, that, you lose facial fat and then you get sagging. And so you can't just keep injecting stuff. You got to fill it and lift the deep layers and bring it up. And I also loved what you said about you want it to be, just you don't want to look like somebody else. Because so many patients I see from other parts of the country, they look different, they look weird, and I always tell my patients, we're in the face protection, not witness protection program. As a plastic surgeon, I don't do weird, I don't do crazy stuff. And so tell me a little bit about the process. So how did you find the process of finding a faceless surgeon, and really to help our consumer about, this is not about me, but about how they should go about finding somebody to do their facelift?
So I was real basic. I Googled who's the best facelift surgeon in the country, and you came up. But I did do that. But that aside, I also I really researched, like, talking to people and looking around. I did look at, like, the Instagram and YouTube videos and all that, and I did do a consultation with someone that was in California. It's funny because I lived in New York at one point, and I, for some reason, thought New York's where you get, like, a natural-looking facelift, and then, I never thought of, like, Texas as being natural-looking, or California for whatever reason. I had, like, sort of I always thought I'd have to go to New York to get a nut. So as I was looking and researching, I came across you, and then I remembered that my hairdresser had mentioned you when we were talking about facelifts at some point, and I thought, well, gosh, the best facelift person in the country is here in Texas, so maybe I should, talk to him. And then I looked at your photos, your befores and afters, because one thing that was really impressive to me was that the befores and afters, some of the afters were like, one of them's like 10 years down the line, and that really spoke to me because a lot of people can throw up a photo that was very recent, that right after surgery where they're swelling, and you don't really see that it's like a long-term result. And that and talking to you made me make my decision that you were the right one. So the other thing is my hairdresser did tell me, she sees the scars of people all day long, and that, you couldn't tell with yours. I mean, that you just did a good job. And so that was another thing that I talked to.
Well, I think it's good, and what I think you're saying is so correct, because it's way beyond kind of the social media and all of those things, because everybody today, almost everybody has a perspective or have a presence, but everybody thinks they're famous on their own website and stuff, and on social media we tend to show the earlier results, and website longer term results, and they're better, they're not perfect, but again, they look like the patient, and I think that's important.
Yeah, it was also important for me to not just look on my phone, because if you're at the facelift needing age, you need reading glasses. And just looking on my phone, I couldn't see like all the details. And so looking at your photos, your befores and afters on a bigger screen where I could really kind of see, it actually was, it just, you have really good work.
So, well, thank you. I love what I do, and when you love what you do what you love, and then you become good at it. Just like you. So tell me about, okay, so I remember when we met, we talked, you were very well informed, you knew what you wanted to do, and it was great, and we talked about all those things, including a small chin implant, which, by the way, looks awesome on you, and it just, it just becomes you, and I think, what was the thing that was kind of your turning point? So we had our consultation and stuff, and so just, I think the most important thing is then what's next. So the process thereafter, was it how the staff were, or is it, tell us a little bit about what you was going in your mind, and so you can share that with the consumer.
So you mean like after I had made my decision and booked the appointment?
Yeah.
So I spoke with Joni back and forth, and had questions. I basically just I made up my mind I was going to have it done, and it was just I was really scared, to be honest. I was pretty scared, and I'm kind of an anxious person by nature, and so what I really did is I just started watching a lot of videos of like your surgeries and stuff to get over my fear. I'm squeamish too, so I just tried to immerse myself in as much learning about the whole process and recovery and everything as possible. I downloaded all of your PDFs and I read everything like I could.
My
and
articles? Oh my God, that's a lot.
I really did. And I tried to learn everything and get comfortable with the idea so that I could be comfortable and not, feel nervous about it. The other thing that I did is I tried to be a little healthier, eat more protein. I'm a vegetarian. I've been one since I was 18, and so I've really tried to take protein shakes. I think you had told me to do that.
Yep.
So I a couple weeks before cut back on sodium. I tried to go on and do the 1,500 milligrams a day so that I wouldn't be bloated and swollen during the whole process and miserable. So I just tried to prepare like that, and I think that everyone was a great resource, but it was a lot of just me getting comfortable with the idea of it because I was really scared.
So the day of surgery, the moment of truth, you met my anesthesiologist, my staff.
Yes.
So how was that?
Your anesthesiologist, Dr. Herndon, is that?
Yes, awesome.
He was so amazing. I had anesthesia. I had a complication with anesthesia that was kind of weird. It was I had blurry vision for a couple months after. Well, it was a very anyway. He was very concerned about it. He actually called the place that I had the anesthesia that morning and found out what it could possibly be. And it was tied to an anti-nausea thing that I had taken. Right. He's like, I don't know if I can make sure you're not nauseous, but I just, I don't want you to have blurry vision. And I said, okay. Well, I had no nausea at all. I mean, I felt good as new after it. It was crazy. And I mean, I have never had an experience so seamless and so amazing as that. And he really, really listened to everything I said.
Well, I always tell my patients, everybody that I surround myself with is good or better than me. My anesthesia group, they're rock stars. They're phenomenal. I let them put me to sleep. In fact, during COVID, I had my gallbladder taken out by one of those guys. And Dr. Herndon, I've known him since he was a medical student. He's a rock star.
Yes.
And he actually told me that day, you had a scopolamine patch, and that made you blurry and nauseated, and so we didn't use that. And so it was great. So, I mean, it's all about the experience, right? It's about the process. And, and we talked about the procedure, and then in the pre-op room, we always have mirrors to show you. We marked everything, and you were great, right?
Yeah. And I had my mother-in-law with me. My mom, I wouldn't let her come because she gets too nervous, and so my mother-in-law was making jokes the whole time.
Yes.
Trying to ask why you weren't looking at her. I think, I don't know.
Exactly. It was funny.
So it made the mood light, and but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great, and then what do you remember next? Waking up, recovery with the head dressing on.
I remember waking up in recovery, and okay. The first thing I remember was me waking up and then going right back to sleep. I didn't know what was gonna. And then the next thing I remember was your really nice nurse, really beautiful, blonde, short hair. I don't remember her name. I can't believe I can't remember her name right now because she was so great. But I remember her syringing me water, and. And then I said, can I have some more? Can I have some more? And she said, here, let me get you a straw. And I said, no, I don't want a straw. And she said, no, Dr. Rohrich likes his patients to drink out of a straw. And I said, well, if Dr. Rohrich likes that, then I will drink out of a straw. And that whole day, it was anything that I was kind of, I don't know if I want to do that. They would say, well, Dr. Rohrich likes his patients to do the, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, okay, well, I'll do it then.
That was great. And then your experience, and we have a hotel facility, healthcare Cloister, and that was...
And I was there for 2 days, and it was a wonderful experience. Yeah. I drank a lot of protein shakes and applesauce, the squeezy applesauce. It was so good.
Yeah, with my nurses, Tammy and everybody.
Yes, everyone's so great.
Yeah, that was great. And you had the head dressing on, we took the drains out.
I look like a Teletubby.
You were a Teletubby. Yeah, that's right. And we have that video. You look great, and you were a phenomenal patient. And, I think it's just important that the experience be good and positive. And, you did awesome. I mean, it was just unbelievable. What about your discomfort and...
I mean, I didn't really have any. I think I have more probably just stiffness and feel kind of robotic right now. Right. My husband's like, would you please move when you talk? You kind of look like a robot. Just because I'm so afraid, nervous I'm going to break, mess something up. Like I said, I'm kind of anxious. But I didn't have discomfort because... Well, I had some pain pills, and it was pretty numb.
Yeah.
But I didn't need to take the pain pills. The one thing that I did find very helpful was the anxiety.
It helped out. Yep.
I'm not real big on medications, but that to me, just because I tend to be anxious, was kind of nice. And the other thing with recovering afterwards, I knew I was in good hands. So whenever I would start to panic, I would just be like, hey, I'm in the greatest place. Like, I don't need to worry. Everyone knows what they're doing. Everyone's professional. Relax.
It's great. Yeah, and we talked by text. And
yeah,
I mean,
you were really always there for me, and I appreciate that very much.
So, well, it's an intense process. You're changing your face shaping. So, we talked and we saw you a couple times a day, and that's important. And as I mentioned, we see our patients a lot. We talk a lot, make sure you're good, and the stitches come out, and you had a flawless recovery. So what about the procedure? Would you like to share, or that with others, that perhaps it would be something that you now know that you didn't know? I mean, you're very smart, you're very intelligent, but so what was the aha moment for you? Obviously, when you got to recovery, you said, "Hey, it's over. It's good," or the unveiling we did, or
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like one aha. It was just the whole thing. I will tell you, at 2 weeks, so I felt so good.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel great. I mean, I was dancing around. I was probably doing, more dancing than I should have been doing, actually, probably need to keep the heart rate a little more down. But I felt so good. And I was like, why would I ever be afraid of this? And I mean, I think I did post something on my Instagram, of me taking off, because I could take off the wrap 3 hours a day. So I took it off, and I was kind of like, hey. And everyone asked if I had my wisdom teeth out.
Really? Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, this is good, because I know that I now have a very subtle, natural look, and but I look younger, but I look subtle. No one's like, oh, did you have a facelift?
Oh, yeah.
So that was probably 2 weeks. I was like, okay. But I mean, even before that, I just knew immediately, I was in good hands and I wasn't worried.
Yeah. No, I think that's important. And I think, I could see that confidence every time I saw you, and we took the stitches out, and, and of course my staff, Letty was, as I always tell my patients, I'll do the surgery, but you want Letty to take your stitches out. One of my nurses,
Yes, I might have cursed a few times.
At Letty?
No, just at the situation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was pretty painless, but every now and then you hit one where it's like you can feel it, and I tend to either hum or say a bad word whenever I have discomfort.
You were great. You were great.
I apologize.
So no, it's great. Now, so at 30 days, amazing. So how do you feel? So obviously
I feel good. I feel, obviously I feel a bit stiff.
Yeah, but you can start moving.
I know. So I'm always so afraid I'm going to do something. I'm going to move wrong, and I'm going to ruin your beautiful work, which I'm not going to. I know this is my, but yeah, I feel a little bit stiff, but I feel good. I feel completely healthy and wonderful and ready to show my face to the world. That's
right. Well, like you're doing today. I mean, this is great. And I think, the amazing thing is it's good to have, I'm going to show you your video to every one of my Facelift patients, because it's so good to hear it from you, because you can hear from me and say, well, you really don't know. I mean, I do it, but it's another thing just to hear it from somebody like you. And one of the things that always stands out is that patients, unless you're doing a brow lift, you really don't have a lot of discomfort or pain. And even with your small chin implant, that was really, you had some bruising, but really was not discomfort. But if you do a brow lift, it does hurt a little more. But you really were not in significant amount of discomfort, right? Even in post-op?
Not at all. And I didn't really have that much. I had the one bruise on my chin, but that was I mean, I had some, but it wasn't bad,
Yeah. No. I mean, we use, things that we use, platelet-rich plasma, to really minimize bruising and swelling. But, really, for 30 days, now you're out and about. You can, we'll let you go back exercising, getting your heart rate above. You can dance now on Instagram or wherever. You can do all those things, and I think that's good. So 2 weeks to be out and about, and then 4 weeks to kind of be back doing the things you want to do, and you're being your best you. So what are some final thoughts you have for someone that's looking to get a facelift or a facial rejuvenation? What would you advise them to do?
Well, I've been advising people to go to you.
No, but if they're in other parts of the country, or if they just want to, find out, do their homework.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely do the homework, obviously. But my main thing is to really, the before and after pictures was what did it for me.
Yeah.
It was, and I know people can doctor photos or whatever. Right. You were posting things over 10 years. It just to me, that was a big thing. Obviously, looking for someone board certified and all that is important, but Google's your friend. Hairdressers are your friend. But in terms of are you talking about the fear of facelift?
Yeah, the fear and the concern about looking different. I mean, that's important.
Well, so that is obviously a concern. But if you're with someone who's professional and you've done your research, you're not going to have that situation. And if I didn't tell a lot of people I had anything done on my eyes. My mom to this day doesn't know that I had anything done on my eyes. The reason why is because I noticed that people get really freaked out about the eyes. My sister and my mom were like, don't let anyone touch your eyes. You'll look weird and different. And I knew that I wouldn't. I knew that I'd look like me. You were just taking a little bit off my eyes. And so I think that was, I'd like to know from you actually is, why do people have that misconception about people looking weird with their eyes?
Well, because they see all of the movie stars, the Kenny Rogers and other that they look. You don't know who Kenny Rogers was till he sang. I mean, God love him, he was great. And on Joan Rivers and all these things, they just were overdone, overfilled. And, it just makes them look weird, as I say, we're in the witness protection program for doing Faceless. And I see so many of those things from the coast. It's really mind-boggling to me. And these are people that can do and go wherever they want, and bad stuff happens to them. It ruins their lives and careers. Mickey Rourke is another example of that. And so I think that's where I think that fear comes from. But I think, if you do your homework, and it's, I think it's beyond Google. It's like you said, board certified, the American Board of Plastic Surgery, do your homework, and make sure that they're not doing crazy stuff and operate, good anesthesiologist, accredited operating. All these small things are huge because they're what makes the experience a great one, but also gives you great results. And it all starts with finding the right surgeon. And I think that's the most important thing around the country. If you find an expert that's really an expert in facial aging, not just someone that's famous on their own website but it's also about the facelift expert. How often do they do it, what they do, and then their results. And I think that's important. So Andrea, I just want to thank you for doing this. This is remarkable. You look amazing. You looked amazing before. I mean, at 30 days, you look like a rock star. And,
thank you so much.
I don't think she's 30. I know she says she's 50. But so it's great, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this for us. And again, I'm Rod Rohrich. I'm a board-certified plastic surgeon, a facelift expert, and facial aging expert, and really we're trying to educate you to be a better you, a smarter you as a consumer when you're trying to find the best plastic surgeon or the best person to help you look better and feel better about who and what you are. So thank you so much for joining us, and leave us your comments about this podcast, but any other one and other topics you'd like us to cover in future podcasts and YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea.